All right, Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor, I'm back at y'all again. Today I'm coming to talk about my book. I'm finally finished. Of course, we know that the original title was The Occult Realm, but some people are unable to see through the lens of or beyond the physical senses. So today I'm coming to talk within the realm of the heavenly wisdom. What is the heavenly wisdom? Where is the heavens? Where are we? When we look around, we know that the things that we see are shadows and reflections of that which is outside of the realms of the physical dimensions. So today I have a Q&A session pertaining to my book, and I will have one of the attendants asking questions. But before I go further, I want to read an excerpt from my book. It said, the more we see physically, the more we become blind spiritually. There is no man nor seer who can prove that there is an origin or an end, or even if there is a need to find an origin of something that is not of human understanding. Where we are cannot be proven, and just because we are aware and conscious of being what we are, or what we call here, does not prove that we are anywhere at all. We say that we are here, but we were taught that. Think about what I'm saying. How can we prove that we are here? How can we prove that you are you? How can I prove that I'm me? Everything that we speak is English language. And we know that the English language is a young language. It hasn't always been around. It's new. So before the English language existed, were we here? Was I me? Was you you? Did we exist? Did the word exist? No, it didn't. Now, before we go into Q&A, there's a lot of people who's asking where I've been and want to know a lot of personal things about my life. I have a book coming out, a small biography, and I feel that I don't have to prove anything to the world, but there are younger people coming up in my situation that's been in domestic violence situations in the homes and things of that nature. So psychologically speaking, I do feel that it's my duty to save those generations coming behind me. So just because I'm here, I'm not a teacher, I'm still a student. You can never know everything because God is everywhere and eternal, and God is wisdom. So if God is wisdom and he's eternal, that means that wisdom is eternal, meaning we can never know anything. Now, I went away for a little while, and while away, I went through a personal journey. I did a little soul searching with myself, and being able to see that there were things inside of myself that needed work on, I did that. And now I'm back, not in the same sense of who I was before, but in a sense that I can see clearly and know that I'm not perfect. I've always told my followers not to follow me because I can't take you to your destiny. Everybody have their own destiny. Everybody have their own fate. Even though God is within the personality of us all, God still has his own journey within all of us, which makes us all have our own journey as an individual. So now as I go forward, I will allow the attendant to ask his questions. First question.
The name of your book, the book of what?
The Heavenly Wisdom.
Where did you get that name from?
Well, number one, what is wisdom? See, you have to break everything down to its lowest common denominator. Wisdom, as I said before, is God. God is unexplainable. So wisdom is not what we know, it's what we feel. It's that common sense that we come out of the womb with. It's something that man can't teach you because when wisdom becomes a part of man's own opinions, it becomes man's agenda. And a man can use an agenda to give you his truth, which is just like food. If you don't know the food that you're eating, you can have an allergic reaction to his truth. You have to have your own truth. You get what I'm saying? So wisdom is God or force, or it's that unexplainable, immeasurable thing that we can't see with the senses. There's nothing in our anatomy that can give us evidence, or within the scope of modern science that can give us evidence to see what God is or feel what God is. The closest I can tell you what God is everything. It's everywhere. Wisdom is everything. It's everywhere. Every time you think something, right? You're creating something. You're creating an impulse. That's wisdom. Wisdom is not something that is just what they say, that gives you understanding. Because in order for you to have wisdom, you have to have understanding of the wisdom that you have. Correct? So, what is this heavenly wisdom? This heavenly wisdom is God. So, this book is basically about God. All right? Just to keep it simple.
And would you say God is unknowing?
God is unknowing. Well, we can't say that God is a he or she. I don't think that there's any word that we can attach to this thing or this persona that we call God. It is even disrespectful for me to even give it a persona. Because in the word persona, you're a person. I don't think that God is a person. I think that God is a force, or we could say it's beyond the force, that is incarnated in the lower kingdom that we call man. Man is in all the kingdoms. Even in the plant kingdom, man exists. You say, how does man exist? Because we're not looking at the physicality. I'm not talking about the physical man. I'm talking about the man that you can't see. What we call the soul or the monad. Right? I'm going to give you an example. In the plant kingdom, plants are conscious. It's just that they don't have the divine will that is in the human kingdom. So therefore, it has to evolve from one kingdom to another. You get what I'm saying? But it can feel. When we say certain things around plants, such as negative frequencies, it affects that plant. No matter how much water, no matter how much light you shine on that plant, it will kill it. Right? Because it is your frequency that determines its development, determines its manifestation. So we are like that plant. If I think negative and I'm around you all day, I affect you. I affect your development. I affect how you manifest within your destination or your destiny. How you think. Remember, the ancestors said we are what we think. We are the company that we keep, and we are the environments that we are in. So if our environments are traumatized, then guess what? You traumatized. And a traumatized way of thinking, and when a thought is traumatized, it's not a thought that can go into the jurisdiction of understanding. A thought that is in an environment of a misunderstood frequency becomes a misunderstood thought. And a misunderstood thought within a person makes that person misunderstood. And a misunderstood person misunderstands himself. And when a misunderstanding person misunderstands himself, he don't know who he is. Right?
Right.
So, about that question.
Yes, so you said that being in an environment around people that's, what's the word you use? I'm sorry. Traumatized. Exactly. Will be traumatized as well. That's what you said?
Sure. I mean, think about your environment as a person. It's living. It breathes. It thinks. You don't think it thinks, but it do. There's a reason why you can go to jail, for one example, right? And you have a certain feeling once you are in the environment or the facility of that jail. It's because the people that's in that facility are stressed. They're worrying about their case, right? So therefore, we have to understand that we give off, through our geomagnetic force field, spirit. Our voice gives off spirit. Our thoughts gives off spirit. So we produce stressful thoughts. Our thoughts are alive. They are entities that control our environment. So therefore, if these spirits start to control our environment, we are in this environment, we are controlled by those stressful spirits that is in our environment.
But how would you say that if this powerful thing, which is called God, lives within us? He allow us to fight through that and overpower that. I mean, that's my thing. I don't believe you can be affected by your environment if it's traumatized, but it's a way out of that. You know what I'm saying? Right. From the force. That's what I believe.
Right. Well, when God falls into flesh, God has to adhere to the laws of physicality. But there is a God outside of the physical that we are still connected to, that we can use to influence the smaller God inside of us. That in Genesis said that God created man and woman in his image and after his own likeness. If God created man and woman in his image and after his own likeness, right? That means that we are like God. We are in his image, but we are still striving to evolve back to that state of godly, to be positive. But when we are living in the illusion, right, inside of a physical body or the flesh, this represents hell. The flesh is fire, right? Because we are oppressed by our brain that's giving us a perception of an illusionary reality. When I say illusionary reality, it is an illusion that is appearing to be a reality. It's not real. Just because you feel something doesn't mean that it's not real, right? I always ask, what are these objects around us? You can't prove to me that this is a laptop. You can't prove to me that this is a table just because I could feel it. Because it was something else before it manifested. The tree doesn't just spring forth or manifest on its own. It comes from something. We can say the seed, but the seed comes from something. We won't go further, but I will give a perfect example. This desk is condensed spirit. It's alive and it's vibrating right now. And it affects us. Why? Because it has color. Color is spirit. It's a frequency. Even the foods that you eat. Right? That's why they say eat green foods. Is it healthy? Why? Because green is a megahertz. Colors operate on megahertz. We endow on megahertz. So I sit you in a room with green, right, while you sit, right, and give you alkaline water. That green will pulsate through your megahertz and vibrate you back into your health. You don't need nothing physically to nurture you back to health. Because our body is not really physical. This is why the Bible said, be not of the flesh, but be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind. Because the mind is not the body. The brain is the body. The mind is trapped in the brain. This is why when you kill the brain and you go brain dead, you go unconscious. It's not you going unconscious though. Right? It's the body going unconscious. You leave because you can no longer withstand, right, the oppression or subduing of the urge of the soul having to leave the body. If you're in a house that's burning down, you have to get out that house. You're not going to stay there. So it's the same thing for the mind. It has to leave the body. The consciousness have to leave the body. The consciousness have no age. It is immeasurable. It is everywhere, yet it is nowhere. People say, how can it be everywhere, yet nowhere? Because nowhere is everywhere. Can you measure nowhere? No. Can you measure everywhere? No. Okay, well, there you go.
That's it.
Right?
I got a question. Do you think reincarnation is real?
Reincarnation. That's my subject. I love it. Let's look at the prefix of re. The prefix of reincarnation. All right. For something to the word defines something that happens over again. In the word religion, right, we have redo, rewind, to do over again, right? So if I was to go out and water my plant every day at the same time, that is a religion, right? It is not reincarnating, but it is a religion. But I'm going to tie in. I'm going to tie religion to reincarnation. Now, I'm going to give you reincarnation on an exoteric aspect. When a person evolves from his lower state to become a better person, he is no longer that person that he used to be, which is what? He's a different person. He has reincarnated to a different person. Am I right? Would you agree?
Yes.
So if I'm a drunk today and I drink alcohol, and I decide to master my mind and say, I'm not going to drink alcohol no more, right? I then become a new person. Even though I have memory of the alcoholism or the abuse of alcohol that I indulged in, right? It still exists. That person still exists because it can come around anytime it wants. It is as a demon to take over this reincarnated person. So a person, the same person that could reincarnate, right, can go back to incarnate into the person that it used to be. But now let's talk about reincarnation on an esoteric level. There are seeds in the heavens, or in that etheric realm that we call the sky, that man attracts to them magnetically, and woman repels it. They are not attracted to the woman. It is these seeds that's in the ethers. They are not attracted to woman. They repel from woman and they attract to man. It is a reason for that, because man's electricity is negative. Woman's electricity is positive. Not to get off the subject, but when man drinks alcohol, did you know that his negative electricity turns positive? This is why he becomes emotional. He starts to fight his woman. This is something else that helps me out along my way. This is what I learned, and this is what helped me out along the way. Drinking alcohol changes your electricity to feminine. Same thing for a woman. When she drinks alcohol, she'll fight you. So now she's becoming manly. So it changes both electricities. All right? But these ethers or these seeds that is in those clouds or in that blue part of the sky that you think is blue, it is the sun bouncing off the atoms. Those electrical atoms that is pulsating in the horizon, it is touching those atoms and causing or making the sun or making that part of the sky to appear blue, but it's not really blue. But there are seeds that you can't see. When they're ripe, they drop down to a certain part of the earth, and they attract to the man geomagnetic force field. We breathe it in, And it goes through all 7 major organs, and it drops down into our testicles. Guess where these seeds come from? The last breath of the plant, the last breath of the animal that dies. It goes up into the sky, and we breathe it in. So now the soul of the animal have now become human. He has dropped into the testicles of the man. We put it into our woman, and she brings forth something that used to be a plant, a mineral, an animal. Now, if you have an outer CC, sound crazy to most, but you have to understand that some people are conditioned to only see beyond or within this realm of matter, because there are other things that is veiled that we can't see. But just because you can't see something doesn't mean that it's not there. You can feel air. You can't see it, but it's there. But it's something that is moving that air. What is that force that is causing the air to move? What is that force that is causing the grass to grow up or the tree to grow up? Not sideways, but grow up. It is as if there is a magnet above us that is pulling things up. This is the force of God pulling himself to himself. I don't like to say him because, again, we place him into sexual jurisdiction. For those who are, who's not acquainted in that realm of esotericism, I keep it there for you in that elementary state. But there are elements among us that we can't see, that move us, that can influence us when we're drunk, that can influence us when we are emotional. We open up pathways and gates and doors where these spirits can come down that were stuck. These people that died on the earth, right? When people cry over them, you lose a son. You say, oh my Lord, don't take my baby. These emotions trap him here. Something is happening when you do that. And you cry. That's why our ancestors celebrated death. And they cried during birth. Because they know during birth that child was coming into a world that was hell. That's why they cried. But when they died, or so-called died, they knew it was reincarnated into a higher state if that soul mastered itself spiritually on this realm upon leaving. Something else you had to ask.
Yeah, you was like, the seed goes to our testicles. And he was like a dying animal. And like, so when a woman have the man's child, she having an animal or something?
Okay, let me go into embryology. No, he's correct. Let me go into embryology. See, the woman, when she goes to get her checkups, she go and look at the ultrasound when that fetus becomes, or when that thing in her becomes a baby or a human. But before that, if you analyze or you look at that thing at its earlier stages, it's a mineral. It looks like a plant, a tadpole, an animal, and then it becomes a baby. So you are looking at the evolution of the human in the 9-month gestation period when a woman is pregnant. It's just that embryologists don't know the mystery of what is going on in there. Why do we look like a tadpole before we become a baby in the womb? Why do we look like a mineral? Why do we look like a plant? Because our soul has been through all of these kingdoms. And in Theosophy, right, which I study so firmly and so close, big ups to H.P. Blavatsky, in Theosophy it says that once we enter into the human kingdom, we cannot go back to be an animal, a plant, nor a mineral. We can reincarnate as humans again, which again, deja vu moments is the evidence of us being able to come back. You say, I heard this before, I've seen this before, I've been here before. But you don't have the memory to tap into master that moment. But that moment is karma, allowing you to fix something at that moment that you had done wrong in that past life. So when you have a deja vu moment, stop and think. Because it's something you did wrong at that time. This is why you came back. And the only reason you can't remember all of your past life is because now you are trapped in a new brain, which is giving you another perception. But as you evolve spiritually, which is our job on this earth, we will gain more memory for our future life. The planets hold our fate, holds our destiny. It holds the records. And in Revelations it says that the book of life. They said that only the Lamb could open the book of life. What is that book of life? Some people call it the sidereal light, or the astral life, or the Akasha, which we call it in the Theosophy. Christians call it the book of life. We all believe in the same thing. It's just different things, different labels, different masks. When you take the mask off, guess what? It's the same force. Mm-hmm. It's the same truth. So why are we fighting each other? There's no need. We fight each other because there's an agenda physically for people who live here who can't, when they die, leave this realm to go into a higher dimension. Now we're going to go into dimensions. There are entities on this earth that appear to be human, that when they die, they can go to other dimensions. So therefore, they need the chaos of the people who is creating, right, this fear from them, encouraging them or influencing or intellectually influencing the fear, giving it to them so they can fear. Fear is the food of entities, of certain entities on this earth. They need that fear. Just like you like McDonald's and ice cream, fear is a snack to certain entities that appear to be human. And that's all I say to that. You have to get the book. I go more in depth in my book. But you have to get the book. This is my greatest book. I know a lot of people have bought the Black Bible of Science. That's a bestseller. That's one of my bestsellers. It's a great book. But that book is keeping you, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, because I made a lot of money off of that book. But I'm going to show you that it doesn't mean nothing. Money means nothing to me. That book was good, and it helps you to survive in the illusion. But this new book helps you to survive in the spiritual realm. All right? So if anybody don't have any more questions, I'll conclude and I will leave out. Go ahead.
Okay, so you would say it's definitely important that we know about the spirit, correct?
Correct. First of all, let's identify or define what a spirit is, because a lot of people like to put it under a fiction locality of realism when fiction is not real at all. Spirit is what we call in science energy, right? And energy is everywhere. It can't die. When you study thermodynamics, energy doesn't die. It changes shapes and forms and keep moving. So the Spirit of God is in everything. Energy is in everything. Currency. You are the real currency. Your DNA, right, is real money. And I won't go into that, but my teacher, Bobby Hemmett, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I have to give credit where credit is due, right? He told me that, and I'm not racist, because I don't believe that we are the thing that we see when we look in the mirror. But in the vehicles that we drive, our vehicles as Africans or the so-called blacks is more of a high standard than any other vehicle. It costs more than any other vehicle or culture. It has more amenities to it. And when I say that, I mean that it has certain chemicals in it that coincides or communicates with certain things in nature that allows us to obtain certain faculties that lies dormant in us. We are those souls that existed during the Atlantis. We are those ancient Egyptians, ancient Ethiopians that built the pyramids. We look back, and this is what I hate about the conscious community, so-called black, pro-black people. And I'm going to tell you right now, you say that I want to honor my ancestors, right? You are your ancestors. Honor yourself first. Because when you honor you, you honor your ancestors. Stop looking outside of you. Y'all like to get on Christians about them believing in Jesus and all this, but they have more truth, if you can see through it, than you. Uh-oh. Osei changed up on us. No, I didn't. The Bible holds more truth in it than any other book and any religion. Any religion. If astronomers look into the Bible, they would see the things that that cause their reality to be a reality. The 12 disciples, the 12 zodiacs. Christ told the 12 disciples to follow the man, to keep going until they see the man bearing a pitcher of water. That's Aquarius. That's the symbol of the Aquarius. Christ is the most powerful entity that ever existed. Osei done turned Christian. I am a Christian. Let's get that straight. I'm a Christian. I just see things more clear. I see things the way T.D. Jakes see it, but I'm not going to do what T.D. Jakes do and rob the people of their money and keep going over their head with jewels. T.D. Jakes is sold out to the elite. He is a 33-degree Mason. Right? Jesse Jackson, he's sold out to the elite. He's a 33-degree Mason. Farrakhan is sold out to the elite. He's a 33-degree. I don't care. You can't kill what I am. Y'all say, oh, he better watch his mouth. I don't have eyes on my lips, so I can't watch my mouth. All right? So, there's not any more questions. I'm going to give you my number. And if you want my book, you can pre-order, and I might send you a gift with that book or earlier. My number is 434-439-6226. My email address is astralbooks82@gmail.com. That is astral, ASTRAL books, BOOKS, the number 82@gmail.com. Contact me. We can do an over the phone session individually. But this is it. Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor. I'm out. Peace.